Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
Welcome. It's a regular town board meeting. It's November 5th, 2018. Time is 7:01 p.m. And welcome all who's here. And first thing I'd like you to do is please rise and join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you. First thing on the item, first agenda item is we're going to have a public hearing on the town budget for 2019. It says 2018, but it's 2019, right? Mm-hmm. So we're having the preliminary hearing, but first of all, I'll give a presentation and an overview of the budget, and that's done in a PowerPoint, so the town board will sit with the others. I'll sit over there and give my presentation. When I'm done, we'll reconvene here. Okay, we're going to take a look at the 2019 preliminary budget tonight. And we're going to be looking at our budget expenditures townwide, general operations, emergency services, lighting districts, wastewater districts, water districts, and our other districts, such as the aquatic protection and the wastewater disposal districts. General fund appropriations, so we'll take a look first at general operations. As you can see, for general fund appropriations, we're looking at $13,000,009 based on, and $13,000,006 for last year. Cemetery fund is up a hair. Highway fund is up a little bit. The solid waste fund up a bit. So townwide totals this year, $19,499,913, and last year it was $19,060,553, a difference of $439,360. Expenditures are up 2.31%. Amount to be raised by taxes is $1,961,838. The tax rate will go down. The tax rate last year was 53.9 cents per thousand. This year is 52.1 cents per thousand, down 3.34%. I do have copies of my PowerPoint up here, so that anybody want to grab one, you're welcome to do that. All right, so Town of Queensbury, general operations. So what am I talking about when I talk about general operations? We're talking about the assessor and the assessor's office. We're talking about accounting and the accounting office. Animal control, building and codes enforcement, building and grounds maintenance, our cemetery, running all of our cemeteries, our community development department, that includes planning, zoning, enforcement, fire marshal's office, highway administration and maintenance, that includes, among other things, snow plowing, paving, etc. Our IT, information technology, our parks and recreation, our town clerk. So, and that includes your licensing, receiver of taxes, records maintenance, town council, town court, the town board, me, the transfer stations. All of that is included in general operations. So taking a look at a home of $256,000. Last year, that home paid for all those things I just mentioned, $137.98. Home with the same value, $256,000 this year, will be down slightly, $4.60 to $133.38. So if you have a home for $256,000, you're paying $133 for everything I just mentioned. Okay? Now, emergency services. They're going up a little bit. Fire is up $104,000, but as you'll see down at the bottom, the fire tax rate is going to go down. EMS is going to be going up because the costs in the EMS world are going up. For one thing, volunteerism isn't what it used to be. So more and more, we're having to go to paid service. Well, part of that is the training. The training for basic life and advanced life, very expensive, very involved, and by the time you get done with the training, you become marketable. But ambulances, they're expensive. They can run up to $150,000. Even stretchers can go up to $40,000. EpiPens, $300 a set. This all adds up. But more importantly, to the paid staff. Because we don't have the volunteers and you want the service, paid staff 24/7, multiple shifts in some cases. Medicare and Medicaid underpay for their services. Their payment to the town doesn't cover the costs. Now, what are we doing? The town is considering getting the expert advice of an EMS coordinator. We're working with the 3 squads on this matter. And this person or entity will look for improved service and cost reductions through the development of improved optimization of operations, training, revenue production, fiscal management, and this coordinator may also help with compliance requirements. So we're hoping that a small cost towards an EMS coordinator will go a long way in cutting emergency services costs for the EMS. So you'll see the tax rate change at the bottom. Fire actually going down 3%, EMS though going up 4.7%. Lighting districts, we have 6 of them. There's not much change there. Going up a small bit. Wastewater districts. They're going to be a little bit more expensive, but the rates will remain the same. So the cost will be going up about $107,000 or 4.8%, but the rates are going to remain the same. Our water districts. Our 3 water districts will be going up about $51,000. Up 1.1%. Some rates may be subject to change because of a change in the way we're doing ad valorem versus usage, but they have yet to work that out. But there's not going to be a huge change in any of them. Our other districts, you have the Glen Lake Aquatic Plant Growth Control District. And that's down a little bit because one of the pieces of property, it's $130 a unit, and 2 pieces of property merged into one, so that's down $130 for the forthcoming year. Lake Sunnyside Benefit District, or the Lake Sunnyside Aquatic Plant Growth Control District, they decided to cut their taxes of their district people in half. So you will see that it was $25,499. It'll be down $12,822 this coming year. North Queensbury, by the way, Lake Sunnyside is very recognized for their excellent management system, or their invasive aquatic plant management system. They have a very good management program. Next is the North Queensbury Wastewater Disposal District. That was the residents came to the town board and wanted to form a septic wastewater disposal district where you will have your septic systems inspected regularly and pumped regularly. And because they're a district, they've been able to get funding from the fund for Lake George, and they've been funding people as they've been revamping their septic systems, 50% up to, I think it's $7,500. So they've noticed a market improvement, I should say, in the water quality in Dunnos Bay as a result. 16% of the septic systems around Dunnos Bay have been upgraded, and you can see the difference in the water quality already. So our grand totals, appropriations, $31,722,265 compared to last year's appropriations of $30,804,564. $804,564, a difference of $917,701. So we have estimated tax revenue of $19,376,000, and then we have appropriated from our fund balances around $829,485. So the amount to be raised by taxes is $7,328,280, which is up 1.86% and is tax cap compliant. So we are continuing the town's careful fiscal planning to assure tax cap continuation. All right, our fund balance policy, our unrestricted fund balance. The town board will strive to meet a minimum level of unrestricted fund balance in the general fund of no less than 3 months of regular general fund operating expenditures, as well as 3 months of highway and cemetery fund operating expenditures, as these funds are principally financed from general fund revenues. Now, the fund balance. We've done a projection to 2022. And if you see the blue strip, the one variable I want you to pay attention to right now is the sales tax revenue. We are very dependent on sales tax revenue. All is well when all is well. When the economy's good, the sales tax revenue is good, everything's good. But when sales tax revenue goes down, like it did in 2007, 2008, 2009, it hurts us. We are so dependent, because we're not dependent on that, on your tax. We're dependent on sales tax revenue. So let's say sales tax revenue, the economy continues to do well, and we go up 2% a year. I think this year we projected a revenue increase of, I think it was around 2.5%. Well, you might argue that, well, the sales tax is up 5% this year. Well, Mike Swan, who was the treasurer of the county, warned, so be careful, because what comes in at the end of the year may be very different from what we've seen coming in. So I said, what do you think is a good figure to go by? And he said 1.5%. So we went with more than that. I hope we're not going to be harmed by expecting more revenues than we actually get. But let's take a look and project into the future. 2% increase in sales tax. Now I want to draw your attention to down below. Your unrestricted fund balance as a percentage of expenditures. Even with the sales tax going up 2%, and we're being modest with the other categories, state aid going up 2%, so forth. You can see the fund balance goes down to potentially dangerous levels. It goes down below the level that we've set our fund balance policy at. So you can see in 2022, we might have an unrestricted fund balance of only 27%. That's if sales tax revenues keep going up at 2% a year. So what do you think the odds are of that? I mean, with the world in somewhat turmoil, the tariff wars, and then you just never know when October 1929 turns around or 2008 comes around. But we do know one thing about the economy. It goes up and it goes down. So, this is another graph. It may look like the same. Take a closer look. Take a look, and if the sales tax revenues go down 2% a year in 2020, 2021, 2022, everything else stays the same. The only thing we've changed here is the sales tax revenues going down. Take a look at the bottom of the unrestricted fund balance in red, and you'll see that by the year 2022, our fund balance would be, given everything else being equal, would be 4.7% of our expenditures. Not where you want to be. Not a healthy fiscal position. So, are we looking into the future? Yes. Are we heavily dependent on sales tax? Yes. Is that a problem? Yes, it can be. All right. Now, people complain about taxes. Up here, you'll see a graph. Queensbury town tax is the dark green. The fire tax is the blue, EMS tax is the yellow, and your water tax is the dark green. Okay, that's, if you look at the pie, that's where your taxes go. Now, if you go down below and you see the blue pie chart, you'll see in blue, the dark blue, the $405, that's Queensbury's section of that pie. That's the town of Queensbury's section of that tax pie. So you can see your county taxes and your school taxes, when that goes away, are in there, and you even have the Crandall Library slice of pie in there too. So as far as the town taxes go and the big picture of the pie, it's a very small piece of it. All right, planning for the future. Our fiscal philosophy, community planning, economic development strategies will prepare the town to weather the inevitable economic downturns. All right, we want to put Queensbury in a healthy position that it doesn't hurt the taxpayer, it doesn't hurt the quality of life, it doesn't hurt the services that you've become accustomed to that Queensbury offers. By offering a very sound fiscal policy. Now, we have implemented worker safety programs. Injuries, accidents are way down compared to what they were 5 years ago. Our workman's comp is going down and down, 100,000 a year. What else are we doing to help prepare Queensbury for the future? A vehicle replacement management program. We haven't had it. We're playing a little catch up right now. I think we're getting Queensbury on firm ground. Many of the vehicles in the highway department are ancient, and we need the replacement program so that our vehicles are in healthy condition. We want to avoid cost spikes. We want to avoid a future where things are not good and you're going to have tax spikes. We want to avoid that. So we've implemented efficiencies in many of our programs. We've outsourced animal control. We've outsourced information technology. We've outsourced website development management, and we've saved money in every case. We've reduced administration of water and wastewater, the town clerk's office, and here at the activity center. We're doing bulk purchasing with the county. We're saving 25% on our electric bills through solar on the roof. And we've avoided major bonding by reserving funding for capital projects. While we're doing that, it's also important to make sure you have a revenue stream. So what are you doing for the local economy? That's important. Job development plus commercial development plus sales tax revenues means lower taxes. So you have to work on job development, commercial development, and sales tax revenue. What have we done? We've developed flexible economic zones. Exit 18, for example. And it is taking off. We're bringing in sewer to Cary Road Industrial Park. That's already showing tremendous interest in being developed because it's going to have a municipal sewer now, after 15 years of talking about it. We've done many other things to try and encourage commercial development, because commercial development brings in revenue. For example, commercial development, on the average, will pay $1 in taxes but only ask for about 45 cents in services. residential development, which you need, you have to have. But for every dollar they put in, they usually ask for between $1.07 to $1.50 for every dollar they put in, they ask for in services. All right, so you need to make sure you're balancing your commercial development with your residential development. So you need to have good fiscal community planning. In addition, we've been on the forefront in many other areas. We are taking our records, our archiving, our data to a cloud. About the safest area you could bring your records to. We're changing our street and building lighting to LED. Tonight, there's a resolution to change the courthouse lighting to LED. We'll talk about that a little later. We're going to replace the old and inefficient HVAC system in the town office. So we're going to be getting a more efficient highway building. And we're looking to improve our efficiencies through our Clean Energy Communities program and more. Okay, let's take a look at the comptroller's fiscal stress monitoring system. The Office of State Comptroller uses the fiscal stress monitoring system to examine the annual financial information reported by your local government. This analysis provides an objective assessment of the fiscal challenges facing individual local governments and school districts, identifying situations where corrective action may be needed. All right, so they have 4 categories, and they have points. So if you've been evaluated your fiscal situation in your town and you received between 50 and 100 points, you are considered to be in significant fiscal stress, not good. As you can see, it goes down moderate, then susceptible, and then there's a no designation from 0 to 29.9. Okay? This means if you got a no designation because your point system fell between 0 and 29.9, you're not in the above stress category. Where is the town of Queensbury? Okay, 2015, 2016, 2017. Basically, we've been in the no designation area for all 3 years, in terms of fiscal stress and in terms of environmental stress. Yes, our stress test was 0 last year. That's 0 out of 100. 100 being the worst in terms of significant fiscal stress. So now it's 3.3. That's 3.3 out of 100. So we are still in excellent fiscal shape. No designation means the town of Queensbury is not in a stress category. We are in that no designation category of 0 to 29.9. What do they look at when they look at the fiscal stress and the monitoring system? All right, they looked at the following categories: year-end fund balance, operating deficit, cash position, use of short-term cash flow debt, and fixed costs. So, where are we? Under the assigned and unassigned fund balance, the general fund and the highway townwide fund, stress level points, 0. Doesn't get any better than that. Total fund balance, general fund and highway townwide fund, stress level points, 0. Doesn't get any better than that. Operating deficit. All right, our operating deficit with a stress level of 3.3. Remember, no designation is 0 to 29.9. All right, why did we go from 0 to 3.3? In other words, the deficit was less than 0% in the 1/3 last fiscal years, one of the 3 last fiscal years. This was due to a transfer of funds to our capital budget. Highway building, town office HVAC, we put those aside. So the way it's budgeted, that's considered an expense in our operating budget, but it really is a set aside for capital items. Still, 3.3 is still very good. Cash ratio, stress level points, 0. Cash position, 0. Use of short-term cash flow debt, 0. Remember, 0 is good. Fixed costs, personal services and employee benefits, 0. Debt service, percent of revenue, 0. All good. Let's take a look at the town's Moody's rating. We're rated AA2. That's very good for a municipality. Very good. And in this year's rating, they use terms that I quoted. Queensbury's credit position is very strong. We have a robust financial position. Debt burden is negligible. Economy and tax base are very healthy. The challenges are to keep to a 2% tax cap, and, as I tried to stress to you before, our heavy reliance on an unpredictable. That is sales tax revenue. So the reason why our cash balance as a percentage of operating revenues was a little bit higher, and our fund balance as a percent of operating revenue was a little bit higher than the US median, is we are not that dependent on taxes, not ad valorem residential taxes. We generate a lot of our revenue through sales tax, which is not predictable. Fund balances. We have a fund balance policy. All our fund balances get audited. All our fund balances are in line with town fund policy. Because we depend on quarterly sales tax revenues as our primary cash flow, very dependent on the local economy, fund balances help us avoid incurring debt for capital projects, such as the new highway garage and other unforeseen emergencies. So we've had to replace culverts that got blown out by major storms, or we were proactive in one case and did it before it got blown out by a major. That cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars we did not anticipate on spending. These are part of the unforeseens. What else is going to be unforeseen with the weather cycles they are? Okay, the town of Queensbury general operations. Again, down 3.34%. And home value maintained the same last year and this year. It's $4.60 less. Now, this is for the assessor, accounting, animal control, building and codes, building and grounds, cemetery, community development, planning, zoning, enforcement, fire marshal, highway administration and maintenance, information technology, park recreation, town clerk, receiver of taxes, records maintenance, town council, town court, town supervisor, town board, town transfer stations. And the home value of $256,000 is going to be paying $4.60 less. So that's the proposed town budget for 2019. I'm going to open the public hearing in a minute and allow the public to make some comments. So the public, my presentation portion is now over. Any thoughts or comments before I open the public hearing, town board? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Discussion item, the town budget, the preliminary budget for 2019. Anybody like to speak to the budget, the proposed budget? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Travis Whitehead. I'd like to start by going over some recent town audits. The town is audited every year. The books are closed on December 31st, and we get the report sometime around August. I'm going to read you something that comes from the report 2 years ago. Talking about the general fund. This is in the, it's a large report. There are a lot of numbers in there. This is kind of in the Cliff Notes section of it where things are laid out for the general public. Anyhow, it talks about the general fund and says, the general fund is the main operating fund of the town. At the end of the current fiscal year, the unreserved, unappropriated fund balance of the general fund was $871,021. While total fund balance of the general fund aggregated was $12,595,802. As a measure of the general fund's liquidity, it is useful to compare both the unreserved, unappropriated fund balance and total fund balance to total fund expenditures. Unreserved, unappropriated fund balance represents 52% of the total general fund expenditures and transfers out for 2016, while the total fund balance represents 96% of the same amount. The fund balance of the general fund increased $1,603,822 from the prior year, primarily because sales taxes and other revenue sources were higher than expected, while general government and employee benefit expenditures were lower than expected. The main revenue source for the general fund is derived from sales and use taxes, which are distributed from the county of Warren to all towns and the village and city located within the county. Together with our similar user taxes, non-property tax revenue, and mortgage tax revenue for 2016 totaled $9,690,695, representing 67% of the total general fund. Now, the same language is in every audit from 2011, when Dan Steck in his final year put back the town tax that he had zeroed out for the previous 5 years. It was put back to about $2 million, which is where it stands today. Hasn't changed much, hasn't gone up a little, gone down a little. Most of the changes have been on the fire and EMS. The general fund had been over $10 million when Dan took over, and he brought it down to $4.3 million when he left. And that was probably too low for comfort. Clearly, zero town tax was unsustainable. In 2011, the general fund increased by about $1.3 million. This is after the tax was reinstated. $2 million tax. All of a sudden, the general fund increases $1.3 million in 2011. another $1.5 million in 2012, another $1.6 million in 2013, another million in 2014, another $1.2 million in 2015, another $1.6 million in 2016, and we're back to over $12 million in the general fund. Clearly, someone should have taken the foot off the gas once a comfortable fund balance was reached. And every time our audit said the same thing, that the budget overestimated expenses while underestimating revenues by more than $1 million every year. Clearly, the budget has been too high since 2011 and every year thereafter. This was dutifully pointed out every single year. Until this year, when there's a little difference in what that sentence says. Now it says, and this is for the books as they ended in December 31st, 2017, the general fund is the main operating fund of the town. At the end of the current fiscal year, the unreserved, unappropriated fund balance of the general fund was $5,808,553, while total fund balance of the general fund aggregated was $10,553,798. As a measure of the general fund's liquidity, it's useful to compare, and it goes on. Unreserved, unappropriated fund balance represents 34% of the general fund expenditures and transfers out for 2017, while the total fund balance represented 62% of the same amount. Now you notice between 2016 and 2017, for the very first time in a very long time, the fund balance actually went down. But everything has gone up. Our taxes have gone up. Our sales tax revenues have gone up. What has happened was just pointed out by Mr. Stroud. $4 million, or $3.5 million, it says here, was taken out of the general fund and put into another pot. So they took $3.5 million worth of cash, moved it from that pot to that pot, because we're only supposed to look at this pot, guys. And this goes on. The fund balance of the general fund decreased $2,042,000 from the prior year, primarily because significant transfers were made to capital fund projects, in parentheses, $2.3 million towards the construction of the new highway garage, and $1.2 million for mechanical and other capital improvements to the town office complex, offset by sales and other tax revenue sources. Which were higher than expected in general government and employee benefit expenditures, which were lower than expected. So again, they're saying overestimated expenditures and underestimated revenues. It also says that since $3.5 million was put into the capital reserve pot, and yet this pot only decreased by $2 million, that again, we, the taxpayers, put another $1.5 million into the whole system, just like we have for the past 7 years. So what about this year? Since 2011, the auditor has noted that the budget was fat principally because expenses were overestimated and sales tax was underestimated. While you'd have to look at hundreds of codes to figure out what expenses were overestimated, it's pretty easy to look at the sales tax estimate, which is in the 2019 budget at $8,800,000. The latest payment to the town was for back in 2017, and it totaled $8,936,902, already more than what you're budgeting for this year. I just heard Mr. Strauss said that 8.8 million is 2% more or 1.5% more. I can't exactly remember what you said. It's not. It's less. The other thing is, Mr. Strauss sat in the same room I did when Mr. Swan said that our sales tax were up 5% and that we've already been through 10 out of 12 months of the year. That money is in the bank. Something may happen in the last 2 months of the year. It'd be difficult to think that it's going to affect a 5% increase very much. So I have a suggestion for you. Half of the fat is right there. If you didn't use 8.8 million, but instead you used the 8.9 million that you actually got in 2017, and the estimate 10 out of 12 months, knowing is 5% higher than that, of 5% more than that, that would equal 9,300,000 rather than the 8.8 million that is in the budget today. That's $500,000, and about half, or maybe a little bit less than half, of the error that we see every single year for the past 7 years. So what would happen if we applied the $500,000 to reduce the town tax? Don't reduce it to zero, but don't leave it at $2 million either. Let's just ease off the gas a bit, take it down to $1.5 million. That would actually, instead of the proposed rate dropping by 3.3%, as is proposed today, that would actually drop the rate 35%. Not 3.3, 35%. And I'm only using half of the average money for the last 7 years that was over collected and stuck into this, that, and the other thing. Our total general fund was at over $12 million last year. It's been brought down to 10 through tricks, moving cash from one pot to the other. That cash is still there. It's still undesignated in the Capital Reserve Fund. In addition, you've been buying all kinds of equipment. Tonight, you are going to approve another $189,000 purchase for another 10-wheel dump with a plow. I've been counting them up. In the last 3 years, that would be the 5th 10-wheel dump with a plow that you've bought. You bought backhoes, sweepers, you name it. That DPW lot is the pride of New York. This, what I've said is confirmed by the state controller in his physical stress assessment, which you delved into, but you didn't really delve into it quite enough, I think. If you look at this one-page thing, and I sent it to you all a couple days ago, so I hope you were able to review it. It shows that we supposedly, in 2017, spent $4 million more than we took in. Of course, that's been explained that, no, we didn't spend it. We actually stuck it into this pot so that we wouldn't be looking at that pot. That's why we got the hit. Gross revenues over from 2015, 2016, 2017 are 25 million, 25 million, 25 million for the 3 years. Our gross expenditures, which are hopefully less than the 25 million, are for the first 2 years 23 million and 23 million. But this past year was 29 million, almost $30 million, because of the shifting that went around, cash for cash. So I'm not too impressed when I see this sheet showing a spreadsheet here, which I just saw now for the first time. And it's indicating that we are, our unrestricted fund balance, which is only a part of the fund balance. There's other fund balance there, and it is designated for certain things. You also have these other pots all around. But to go ahead and say it would, first of all, even Moody's doesn't believe that number. Moody's says that it's higher than that. And it was kind of curious. I was reading that quote, and I just ran the Moody's the other day, and didn't, what I read there and wrote down isn't the same as what I just saw up there on the screen. What Moody's says is that Queensbury's cash balance as a percentage of operating revenues, 53.6%, is materially higher than the U.S. median. The word materially was mysteriously left out. It's higher than the U.S. median. I think that just shows you the kind of treatment that we've been getting over the last 7 years when we try to discuss the budget. And I would say anyone up there that votes for this budget ought to be thrown out at the next possible time, which would be a year from now. Because there's a huge difference between 3.3% cut for the taxpayer and a 35% cut, a very conservative 35% cut. It's time to take the foot off the gas. Yes, the fund balance was low back in 2010, but if you monitor that fund balance and then look at where everything else is going, you can see that that acceleration should have been reduced at some point in time when we met those marks, and instead we decided to shift the money other places so that mark stayed where we wanted it to be. And I think that's pretty deceitful. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak to the town board about the proposed 2019 budget? All right, seeing none, I just have a few comments. Basically, he repeated a lot of what I already said, and I explained exactly why. But, you take a look at a fund balance, and you're capturing that in a budget in a moment of time, and it changes every day. In fact, the projections for the next 3 years that I showed you earlier showed fund balances of about 4.7 million. Now, if you keep in mind, not all of that is cash. All right, so I want to tell you one thing. We get cash from the county. We're very dependent on sales tax revenue. We get that cash from the county on a quarterly basis. And sometimes we won't get it for 2019. The fourth payment might actually be made in 2020. So we start off the year, January of 2019. Our bills of January is going to be a typical example of January. About $1.5 million, and you need cash. Now, what about that 4.7 I was talking about? Yes, some of that's cash. Let's say 2 million. Any given moment, that changes. The other 2.7 million, those are receivables. You don't have it at hand right now to pay your bills. You will down the road. Like I said, some of it could dwindle into the next year. So Queensbury is very dependent on sales tax revenues. All right. We didn't play a game by putting it into a pot. Okay. Highway garage. We just sat down and talked with folks from Barton & LaJudas who are helping us along in this matter. Our dream garage would be $5.5 million, maybe $6 by the time we got done. We wanted to put something down around $3.5 million. So we're looking to rearrange things to get it down. Now, what did we set aside in this pot for the highway garage? About, I think it was 2.2. That means we're going to have to bond maybe $1 million, maybe $2 million. So a $2 million bond, that's going to cost $200,000 a year, a little bit more. Now, what do you think that would do to our tax cap? Because there's another thing that the one person that spoke to us about our budget did refer to, a tax cap. We're relegated to a tax cap of 2% or the consumer price index, whatever is less. So in years past, the consumer price index has been, 1%, 1.5%. This year it's 2.8. But the way it works is 2% your cap. So, with a 2% cap, there's a formula that you work out. So if you go and you make a drastic cut in taxes, and then you find out you have a cash problem because the revenues aren't coming in. In other words, you just went because you want to get reelected or something. You didn't do the fiscally correct thing. Then you'd have to raise taxes, and that would put you over the tax cap. If we had to bond $2 million for the new garage, that will put us over the tax cap. Keep in mind, we're only $78,000 under the tax cap now. So it's fun. We have state comptroller's office audit us. We have our own auditor, independent auditor, audited us. And they say what we're doing is good. It's sound fiscal policy. All right. So we have, I'll close the public hearing. We have in front of us a resolution adopting the annual town budget for 2019. In that resolution, you see the supervisor's salary, $67,276. Can't remember the last time that was changed. And we're not proposing to change it. Staying the same. Council persons, 18,000. It's always been 18,000. We're not proposing to change it. Next year it'll be the same, no increase. Town clerk, 73,358. It's a 3% increase. Town highway superintendent, 74,152. That's a 3% increase. Town justices, we compared them to other town justices. Keep in mind, our town court's the third busiest court in New York State for a town court. We gave them 4,000, then added 3% on top of that. So the town justices work very hard. If you haven't seen them at work, go into the courtroom on a Monday morning and stay there all day long with them. And then you can show up on Wednesdays when they have trials. All right, their salary would be $51,562. All right, town board, any thoughts, questions? Hearing none, anybody want to put the resolution adopting our annual town budget for 2019 forward? Move it by Councilman Medevere, seconded by
I'll second.
Councilwoman Switzer. Roll call vote on this resolution, please.
Sure. Councilperson Medevere?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Switzer? Yes. Strack?
Yes. All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, we need to go into the Board of Health. We have one disposal variance application to hear and one set of public hearing on. So, is there a motion to go into the Queensbury Board of Health?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Ferrone,
Second.
seconded by Councilwoman Atherton. All those in favor of moving into the Queensbury Board of Health, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're now into the Queensbury Board of Health. So Karen, the first item?
Sure. It's a public hearing on sewage disposal variance application of Magical Shore Acres LLC, Crasto residence.
Yes. Cresto. So, Dennis McElroy was the engineer. We just visited him. George Bone and I did a site visit. So this is seeking 6 variances, and it deals with tanks that were pre-existing, although they've been recently replaced with new tanks. Now, you could make the argument they don't even need to be before this board, but we're playing it safe. And since they're putting in a brand new field and a new pump and they're putting in new tanks exactly where the old tanks were. We decided we'd do this in a conservative way and see if this board is willing to give variances for the septic and the pump tanks. So, what are the variances? Septic tank to be 31 feet from the shoreline instead of the required 50-foot setback. Second variance. Septic tank to be 4 feet from the dwelling instead of the required 10-foot setback. Third variance, septic tank to be 5 feet from the property line instead of the required 10-foot setback. Fourth variance, pump tank to be 22 feet from the shoreline instead of the required 50-foot setback. Fifth variance, pump tank to be 5 feet from the dwelling instead of the required 10-foot setback. And sixth variance, pump tank to be 7 foot from the property line instead of the required 10-foot setback. So, Mr. McElroy, you want to?
Thank you, John. Yes, I just clarified that this is a house that's undergoing some renovations. We had approvals through the planning board as well as a building permit from the building department, which included a replacement of the pump tank. During the construction, it was felt that it would be prudent to change and replace the existing septic tank as well. And in doing that, I think the building department, in their review, thought that it would be wise to take this housekeeping measure of getting the variances, because where they existed, where these tanks had existed for the last 25 years, did not meet those setbacks that have been explained, and therefore, as long as we're replacing the tanks, putting them back where they were previously located, we would take care of the variance application going through this step and just clean up the file and have that done properly. I think that there's really not much other location. There's no other location that these can be located and serve the house as it's designed. So it's, again, a housekeeping measure of just getting the proper paperwork in the file and have the project move on.
Okay, any questions from the town board?
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't make it today, Dennis. Just a couple of questions out of curiosity mainly. So it is a new absorption field?
Yes, and that was part of the permitted project through the planning board review, through the building permit process as well. So yes, the absorption field serving the house is now another probably 100 feet further from the lake than originally served that. So yes, that's a.
And the tanks, are they larger or are they same size?
They are physically larger. They have greater capacity than what was required when they were originally installed.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right, there's a public hearing on this application. It's located at 10 Wood Point Lane, owned by Magical Shore Acres LLC, Castro family residence. So any member of the public wish to speak for this resolution seeking variances? All right, seeing none. Any motion on behalf of the town board to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Ferrone, seconded by Councilwoman Switzer.
John, did you close the public hearing?
Close the public hearing. Motion put forward by Councilman Ferrone and seconded by Councilwoman Switzer. Roll call vote on this, please, Karen.
Councilperson Ferrone?
Yes.
Switzer? Yes. Stroud?
Yes.
Medivir?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
All right, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Next, Karen.
Resolution setting public hearing on sewage disposal variance application of Joyce and Ronald Inasket.
I think you did well.
I don't know.
Yes. Joyce and Ron Inacek, 114 Sunnyside North. They would like to install a new septic tank and a 12 by 20 foot absorption bed. Tom Centers of Hutchins Engineering, Tom Hutchins is here. They are seeking 5 variances. First variance, septic tank to be 6.3 feet, 6 foot 3 inches from the structure instead of the required 10-foot setback. Second variance, pump station to be 8 foot 6 inches from the structure instead of the required 10-foot setback. Third variance, absorption field to be 1.3 from the northern property line instead of the required 10-foot setback. Fourth variance, absorption field to be 14 feet 3 inches from the structure instead of the required 20-foot setback. And fifth variance, absorption field to be 94 feet from the westerly neighbor's well instead of the required 100-foot setback. And this is for property located at 114 Sunnyside North in the town of Queensbury. So this is to set a public hearing on this for November 19th. So it'll be 7 o'clock here, or shortly after 7 o'clock here. We'll have a public hearing on this if the board approves a resolution to set the public hearing. I see that Tom Hutchins is here. Do you wish to speak any more to this at this time?
If you want me to add anything, that's fine, or if you want to do a site visit sometime before the public hearing, I'd be happy to coordinate that with you.
Yes, I'll have Victoria get in touch with you to set a time that would be, suitable for as many members as we can and your time schedule, okay?
That's fine.
Okay. Did you have any specific questions you wanted to ask at this time?
No.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Okay, so we want to set a public hearing on sewage disposal variance application of Joyce and Ronald Ignatchik. And that public hearing will be on November 19th here, 7 p.m. All right. Is there a motion to set this public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Atherton, seconded by Councilwoman Switzer. Roll call vote on setting the public hearing, please.
Councilperson Switzer?
Yes.
Stroud?
Yes.
Medevere?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Param?
All right, so we'll see you on November 19th. Actually, we'll see you before. Okay, that's it for the Queensbury Board of Health. Is there a motion to move out of the Board of Health?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Ferrone, seconded by
Second.
Councilwoman Switzer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. We're now out of the Queensbury Board of Health. Next, we talk about 14 resolutions before us tonight. And I'm going to briefly describe each one of those resolutions. And the public, if they wish, can come up and speak to any of the 14 resolutions before us today. If there's another town topic you wish to speak to the board about, I'll give you that opportunity later in the meeting. This portion of the meeting is just to the resolutions. So again, I'll go through and briefly describe each resolution, then give the public an opportunity to speak to any of them. And then we may act on them or not. Okay, Resolution 4.1.
Resolution authorizing establishment of public hearing date for the 2017 New York State Office of Community Renewal Community Development Block Grant Program.
Okay. This public hearing will be November 19th. And Stu Baker, who's heading up this grant, said that the purpose of this community development block grant, we need to have 2 public hearings on it. It's about affordable housing strategy in the town of Queensbury. So we're going to have that public hearing November 19th. Resolution 4.2.
Resolution authorizing agreement with Lawrence County Safe and Quality Bicycling Organization, Inc.
All right, the Warren County Safe and Quality Bicycle Organization has asked for $5,000 in occupancy tax revenues. What they do is they help develop trails, in Warren County, especially in Queensbury. They've been very instrumental in helping us with the famous Gurney Lane mountain bike trails and others as well. So they're wishing to get $5,000 to continue doing good things and also promoting safe and quality bicycling. Resolution 4.3.
Resolution authorizing Adirondack runners 4-mile reindeer run and junior reindeer run.
Okay, 4-mile reindeer run, December 2nd, which is a Sunday this year, 9:10 a.m. registration. It'll take place at SUNY Adirondack, go around and end at SUNY Adirondack. And yes, they have the Highway Department's approval to use town roads, and they have evidence and proof of their insurance. Resolution 4.4.
Resolution authorizing agreement with Friends of Coles Woods.
Friends of Coles Woods, you know, we've given this before. They would like the town to help out with their insurance. So the town last year gave them $1,000. They asked the town again this year if we would please again give $1,000 with occupancy tax to go to the Friends of Coles Woods to help them keep Coles Woods and the trails we use in Coles Woods, both for hiking, dog walking, and cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. And not only for locals, but visitors alike come and use it. They have races and everything else, people that come to the area. Resolution 4.5.
Resolution extending hiring terms of Rodney Warrington as temporary part-time instrumentation technician at Town Water Treatment Plant.
All right, you've probably seen this before. As a matter of fact, you've seen this a couple of times. This is asking for another 90-day extension to replace a guy in the water department who got injured. Not at the town. He got injured working on another job on his own, not related to the town. His injury turned out to be fairly serious. So Rodney Warrington, he'll be a temporary, part-time, on-call, as-needed basis to help this until we get our employee back. Very highly treasured employee who has a lot of skills we need. So please get well. Resolution 4.6.
Resolution authorizing promotion of John DeVoe from heavy equipment operator, HEO, to mechanic in Town Highway Department.
All right, this is consistent with our collective bargaining agreement. The Highway Department superintendent, who's present here tonight, posted the position. John DeVoe, a heavy equipment operator, or HEO, within the department, has requested the promotion to this position. The highway superintendent recommends that the town board authorize promotion of Mr. DeVoe from HEO to mechanic, as Mr. DeVoe has met the qualifications and has the job experience for the position. Resolution 4.7.
Resolution authorizing purchase of international dump plow truck and wing with spreader for use by Town Highway Department.
Our highway department, yes. As a matter of fact, if they wish to come up here, they'll talk about what happens when you don't have a good vehicle management program. You end up where we are. Vehicles in the 1990s, early 2000s, sad shape. And we're playing catch up, okay? We shouldn't have to be. This could have been managed all along, but it was deferred and deferred and deferred and deferred, and here was where we are. And now we're playing catch up. Now, the town superintendent happened to come across a 2016 International with a front plow and a wing and a spreader and a stainless steel box for $184,971. It's a promo. It has about 800 miles on it, right?
Correct.
Usually something like this would run around 215, 220, 225. So we're saving at least $30,000 buying the promo with 800 miles on it. Good catch. We're also going to purchase an extended warranty. It'll be 60-month, 100,000 mile extended warranty through Navistar for an amount of $4,400. Resolution 4.8.
Resolution authorizing second deputy tax receiver Tammy Landers to carry over unused vacation time.
All right, Tammy has 2 days of vacation time, very much needed in the town clerk's office. So she said, can I please carry him over so I don't lose him? And this board will be asked to say yea or nay on that. 4.9.
Resolution authorizing energy efficiency program agreement between Town of Queensbury and National Grid with Rise Engineering servicing as installation contractors regarding installation of interior and exterior lighting at Town Core.
Right. Energy saving plan agreement with National Grid. Rise Engineering serving as the installation contractor. And we're going to change all interior and exterior lighting in the town office building and activity center to LED. And whereas part of the Small Business Energy Efficiency Program, National Grid's installation contractor, Rise Engineering, has now audited the town of Queensbury's interior and exterior lighting of the town court building and property located at 81 Glenwood Avenue. And such a program is designed to reduce energy use and cut down energy bills, as well as reducing CO2 greenhouse gas emissions. So the estimated kilowatt per hour savings, $16,375. Estimated annual savings, $1,821. And it's going to cost the town upfront $4,693.21. And I believe Mr. Whitehead helped secure this. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. All right. Resolution 410.
Resolution authorizing advertisement of bids for sale of obsolete equipment.
Okay, we have Fisher Plow, Ford Hood, I don't know what it is, International Hood.
Surplus.
Surplus stuff. And a flatbed, 170 inches long, 91.5 inches wide. Well, anyway, these have been deemed surplus. And so if the town board approves this, we'll put these on the auction company gov deals to dispose of them. Resolution 411.
Resolution authorizing issuance of coats and hats and uniforms for planning, zoning, enforcement officers.
Okay. Planning, zoning, and code compliance has asked that our zoning enforcement officers also have shirts and uniform coats and hats. There was an incident this weekend where our code enforcement director, Dave Hatton, went someplace and he didn't have the right insignias. It would have been a lot easier for him to communicate with a certain individual, I think, if he had clothing that identified who he was. So this is to give the planning, zoning, and code compliance zoning enforcement officers in the planning and zoning department uniform coats and hats to identify themselves more clearly as town enforcement officers. Resolution 412.
Resolution authorizing hiring of Ray Sorrentino as part-time laborer for town transfer stations.
Okay. So town transfer stations, we retain a roster of part-time employees who work on an on-call basis. Many of them are seniors who go south for the winter. So we just need to keep a roster of part-timers working, but this roster has to be people approved by the town board. And we do background checks and so forth. And this is to hire Ray Sorrentino as a part-time laborer to work on an on-call basis at the town transfer stations. Will not exceed 20 hours a week. Resolution 413.
Resolution to amend 2018 budget.
Okay, this is just shifting things where they weren't needed to areas where the value wasn't anticipated, just to true up the budget. And resolution 414.
Resolution approving audit of bills, warrants of October 29th and November 6th, 2018.
Okay, this approves a warrant with a run date of October 29th and November 1st, 2018, and payments dates of October 29th and November 6th, 2018, totaling $362,698.55 and $1,012,598.66 respectively. And those are the resolutions before us tonight. Any member of the town wish to speak to any of the resolutions before us tonight? Yes, sir.
Travis Whitehead. In regards to 4.7, the truck, that does make the fifth large dump truck with plow and wing that has been purchased since 2014. If you'd like to know what the other 4 resolutions are, I'd be glad to get them for you. They're all somewhere around $200,000 a piece. I know you bought other things, backhoe, that was a big discussion a little while ago. I think it was a front end loader. You are not in bad shape. You may have been in bad shape 10 years ago when people ran down that general fund balance. But a lot of money has been spent in the last 4 or 5 years. I'd really like to talk a little bit about 4.9. I'm, of course, in favor of this. $4,700 to get back $1,800 a year. But I really think it should be coming from the $50,000 that the CEC group got. And this would be, perfect for it. It also saves 18,000 pounds of carbon dioxide every year. That's the equivalent of burning 900 gallons of gasoline. So do a quick little figuring. If you had a car that gets 30 miles to the gallon times 900 miles, that's 27,000 miles a year, every year. It's going to take you at least 3 vehicles, like the Leaf that you bought, to get 27,000 miles there. You're not going to get 3 Leafs for $4,700. And that's the reason why that $50,000 should not be spent on another electric vehicle, like John has asked the CEC to do. He actually came down and said, this pays for itself. I can get the town to go ahead and buy this because it pays for itself. We also have another project that we're asking to get, 100 some odd street lamps that we'd like to relamp to LEDs, would have similar payback. That's going to cost maybe $30,000. That would be good to come out of that $50,000. But what I heard was I'd really like to get an electric SUV because then, with the $50,000, because then I could tell the public that we got it for free. And there is no free, not in this world, maybe in the next. Thank you.
Yes. Anybody else like to speak to any of the resolutions before us tonight? Oh, seeing none. Any thoughts by the town board on any of the resolutions? All right. Seeing none, I'm going to ask for you to pull a 4.7 for a roll call because I'm the vice chair, or not 4.7, the 4.2 for roll call. I'm on the board and I'm vice chair of that organization, so I'll recuse. So anybody else have any roll call? Seeing none, hearing none. Let's do the roll call one first. Karen, 4.2, please.
Sure. Okay, do you want me to read the title and do the?
Yes.
Okay, resolution authorizing agreement with Warren County Safe and Quality Bicycling Organization. So
All right.
I need an introduction.
I'll introduce.
Introduced by Councilman Medevere.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilwoman Atherton. Roll call vote on 4.2, please.
Councilperson Medevere?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Frome?
Yes.
Switzer?
Yes.
Stroud?
Recused. Now, the remaining resolutions, 4.1, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, 4.10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Anyone want to put those forward?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Perone,
Second.
seconded by Councilwoman Switzer. Roll call vote on the remaining resolutions, please. Karen?
Councilperson Atherton?
Yes.
Frome?
Yes.
Switzer? Yes. Stroud?
Yes.
Medevere?
Yes.
All right, everything passes. We're in good shape. Any correspondence?
No.
All right, privilege of the floor. Anybody like to speak to the town board about any town matter? Yes, sir.
Travis Whitehead. John said that I mentioned about the tax cap, 2%. I don't recall saying that.
No, and I don't recall saying that.
Okay,
I mentioned the tax cap.
okay. But the 2%, was put into law not to say you should start at 2%. You should start at 0. The law also says that if you only took 1%, you can save that for the next year if you want. Get 3%. You can save this stuff going forward. So to go ahead there and say that, we should go ahead and do the 2% is just contrary to what that law was all about. I'd also like to point out that the auditor for 7 years and his numbers were not crystal ball numbers. Those were actual numbers. And I don't understand how you can go there and say and admit that the reason that we deficit spent last year and got dinged on it on the stress tests was because we moved $4 million into capital reserve, and then tell me there's no pot out there. You moved it from one pot to another pot. You look at the general fund, people don't look at the other pot there. Moody's doesn't look at it, nobody looks at it. Move it away to other pots. So, again, I just don't think you're being straight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak to the town board about any town topic? Yes, sir.
David Dole, Highway Superintendent, Town of Queensbury. I'd like to say thank you to this board for working with us on Resolution 4.7, authorization of our dump truck. This was a purchase due to a 1995 tandem dump truck that we had a vehicle fire with over in August. This was a special purchase that we did happen to find this plow truck already built as a demo. With upgrades on it, and with the diligence of our purchasing department. Thank them as well, and my deputy, Mark Benware, for doing his homework on this project. We were able to purchase it. We need to upgrade these vehicles, as you mentioned before. I have 18 plow trucks, frontline plow trucks that I need, and this is a very good investment for the town at this time. Yes, we have upgraded our equipment over the past 4 or 5 years with help from this board and others. I appreciate that. Thank you. I feel if we make the initial investment with our equipment, we need to keep up and upgrade our vehicles and equipment to get our work done in this town. It's a huge town. It takes a lot to maintain it. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
What's the feeling like, Superintendent Dole, when we have a snowstorm and some of the trucks are malfunctioning and we can't get them out?
Well, downtime is a huge issue for us. As you mentioned, a storm like that, if it snows 2-3 inches an hour or so, a period of time. As I said, I have 18 routes, roughly 12 miles of route. That's a lot for a vehicle to maintain. It's a huge disadvantage. The public has to get out, go to work. Things need to get done. Emergency services still need to be taken care of. In situations like that, and we can't afford downtime. Like that. It's a huge loss. We have all of our vehicles out there during the storm, and we have no backups, nothing to fall back on, and. With the aging fleet, that we have, it's a huge loss when we have something go down in a situation like that.
So we're playing catch up.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
As Mr. Whitehead said, we did purchase a new backhoe recently, replaced a 2001. As I said,
works hard every single day.
Yes.
Wow. And we worked on it, we maintained it, we replaced this, we replaced that, finally gets to the point.
Yeah. It's time to turn it over,
Not like it was a 2014 we were replacing, it was a 2001.
Right. This plow truck that we're purchasing here is replacing a 1995.
In 1995?
1995, yes.
Yeah. So we probably shouldn't even be in this shape. This should have been done a long time ago. But we are where we are, and thank you for coming forward.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate your support.
You're welcome. Anybody else like to speak to the town board? All right, seeing none, let's move on to town board discussions. Let's see, I started with John last time, right? Tony?
Yeah, believe it or not, even though we have been together for 3 weeks, I have nothing. I'll give my time to John. I have a feeling we're gonna need it.
Okay, all right. Mine's not too long.
Can I ask a question?
3 weeks worth?
Well, you mentioned here at a meeting, so we general knowledge that your wife was going for that $100,000.
Yeah, so she won't go until the middle of December, but.
I saw it just closed out. You couldn't go in there and vote anymore.
Right, and she, at this point, is in 5th place, which is a good place to be. She moved up from 8th, but who knows with the last week. We'll see. It's a very tough time in our household.
All right.
But thank you all for your support.
Good luck,
I really
Jamie.
appreciate it, yeah. Kathleen Moore, thank you for the kind words. Appreciate it. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you. Catherine?
The Clean Energy Committee, how we had our last solarization event last week, was well attended. I haven't heard whether or not there were more signups after that, but we expect there'll be some. We've already had 43, and we think that there'll be others that are actually signing on the dotted line by November 15th, but I don't have that number. Our next meeting for the Clean Energy Committee will be December the 12th, in which we will be presented. NYSERDA will be there to just give us a presentation on climate smart communities and on community solar. Just a discussion on that. So we're not quite sure what action we'll be taking next, but hopefully at that meeting we'll decide. The next Tri-County New York Transition Film, which we do in collaboration with the library, will be on November 19th, 2 weeks from today. It's called Weapons of the Spirit, and it is by a filmmaker called Pierre Savage. And it is his attempt to understand why an entire village population rescued thousands of Jews while the whole world appeared to have turned its back on their persecution by the Nazis and the collaborators. So that's on the 19th. And I did attend the Share Tefillah vigil last week for the Pittsburgh massacre, and that was very touching, very emotional, but also showed mutual community sorrow and solidarity, and that's it.
That's most good. Is that it, Catherine?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. George?
Well, I only got one thing here. Just wanted to note that the Chamber of Commerce is going to have a State of the County for Warren County meeting. It's a morning breakfast on November the 13th. And they're going to have the supervisor, chairman and supervisors, Ron Conover, the budget officer, Frank Thomas, and the new Warren County administrator, Ryan, speaking at that breakfast. So if people are interested, they can register with the chamber.
And Ryan Moore. I'm pretty impressed with him.
Yeah.
He's doing a very good job. Yes, okay, that would be a good breakfast. Is that open to the public?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Chamber members or non-chamber members are welcome.
Okay. Great. Is that it, George?
That's it.
Well, thank you. Jennifer?
I just have one item. It's something that's fairly new in the area, and it's called Adirondack Wellness Connections. It's the region's first coordinated system of public, private, and nonprofit organizations working together to serve families here in the Adirondack region. That includes access to food, housing, transportation, education, employment, health insurance, and more. There's regional coordinators, and this region's coordinator is the Family Service Association. Basically, they're putting a lot of information and data in one place, and you can access this information at Adirondack, spelled out Adirondack, wellnessconnections.com. I think it's a great resource for our community to find out if they're in need of any of those services, what's available to them, going to kind of like a one-stop. And that's all I have. And there's going to be a small business seminar on Thursday, November 15th. It's sponsored by TD Bank, the Chamber of Commerce, EDC. Registration is from 8 until 8:30. The topics include capital access, growth strategies, and it's a great lineup of some local and regional business people who are going, and it's open to anyone in the public. So you're free to come and sign up. Hopefully learn something. And that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Okay, let me go through my little file quick here. First of all, just clarification. I know things get personal here, but it was the Clean Energy Committee that decided that they wanted to spend the potential $50,000 grant, if we got it, on streetlights and on a VFO for the Building and Codes Department, which would be a four-wheel drive SUV plug-in hybrid or something like that. And so, okay. And also, while I'm thinking of grant money, Kathy Bozzoni has been asked by DEC to resubmit for that $5,000 for the Nissan Leaf. You remember, the paperwork tied us up for a day and we just missed the deadline, so they've asked her to resubmit, and so cross her fingers, maybe we'll get it this time. So, I got a thank you letter here from Linda Fusco and Stephen Dana of SUNY Plattsburgh, and Linda Fusco was the conference chair for the Adirondack communities preparing for and responding to climate change. It was an excellent conference, and Gwen Craig did a nice job going over that conference in her article, highlighting the Adirondack Space Impacts of Global Warming is the title. Also, got here Warren County total taxable sales. You think, where is that income coming from? Well, restaurants and such and shopping have traditionally been the main source, but now we're seeing gas stations. I say this because, we collect, huge amounts of sales tax, and I'm willing to say most of that is derived from Queensbury. And everyone in the county benefits. But I just want to point out, because there is some talk about the reallocation, that Queensbury puts up with the traffic and our roads go through the pounding, and it's our commercial enterprises that are producing a lot of the sales tax revenue. And the newspaper reporter is never going to catch this. So I just think it's important to point out that you got emergency services, you have fire, we have the roads, we have a lot of costs associated with producing that sales tax revenue. And like I said, most of it gets generated from Queensbury, and great expense, great effort by this board and all the people that work for the town to maintain the environment that fosters that growth. All right. Town of Queensbury residential lawn and yard annual fall leaf pickup. Okay. Ward 3, November 5th to the 16th. Ward 4, November 19th through the 23rd. Wards 1 and 2, November 26th through the 30th. And if it doesn't snow, our guys will go back around, right? If we can. If it snows, then that's different. If we can, we sometimes try to. Okay. Do bag your leaves in biodegradable bags. Leave close to the roadside, not in the road. Okay, and don't make, if they're over 50 pounds, we're not gonna pick them up. Don't put other stuff in those bags. You put your leaves in there, right? So don't put sod, trash, rocks, stones, heavy materials. Yes, leaves, yes, grass, yes, pine needles, okay. Feeder Canal Alliance. Thanks to the town board for the $4,000 in support. And the town of Queensbury. The feeder canal and towpath trail are a wonderful asset for the residents and visitors. Not many areas have this opportunity so close to home. In addition, trail survey was organized by Parks and Trails New York. It was estimated this year there have been 100,000 visits to the trail. And the network of trails and parks in our area is a real draw to outsiders and a great benefit to our residents' quality of life. Recycling, as you know, we're going through a little bit of turmoil now with recycling. The plastic market that largely was picked up by China is in disarray. One of the problems is the plastic cups that you use and you take your pudding out, then you throw part of the pudding in the cup back in. That's part of the problem, is the contamination of the plastic. So we're gonna have to make a greater effort to clean our recyclable items. The tin cans, the plastic containers and such. Retirement Online. Our accounting office has been awarded silver certification. I get these booklets from the Fund for Lake George Association, Lake George Land Conservancy. Those organizations are doing great things, and we're very lucky to have them. All right, so now. All right, well, I must have put it in another folder. You guys are going to be disappointed.
No, please no.
Don't say it.
So, I'd like to thank Look TV and Joel Barlow. I'd like to thank the public for coming. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, especially Stored Tech. I'd like to thank the town board and Karen O'Brien and our town council, Mark Shackner. And thank the public, our highway supervisor and his deputy, Mark Benware. All right, thank you all for coming. Motion to adjourn, so we can probably get home and watch Mr. Silvernells tonight.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Switzer, seconded by?
I'll second.
Councilman Metterbeer. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Public Affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pennell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pennell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pennell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pennell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.